So version 1.4 finally released, and this means we get a chance to pull for either Miyabi or Harumasa, as you can see on your screen. And this is somewhat a really different banner cycle because we're getting both limited units day one, and they are going to stay all the way to the end of the patch. So there's plenty of time for you to decide if you're going to pull any of these limited units, if you're going to pull signature weapons as well. But I believe most of you are going to pull for Miyabi, not only because she's the most anticipated unit in the game, but also because Harumasa is giving for free. All you need to do is log into the game during the version 1.4, and there you go. You're going to get a free copy of him. But there's also the limited weapon. They are not going to give it into one. So since version 1.4 is going to bring a lot of new players and also returning players, I decided to make this video so we can talk about mainly Miyabi, because I believe that most of these returning players are going to own Ellen because she was the very first limited unit in the game. Of course, we are also going to be talking about Harumasa, even though he's given for free. There is some room for discussion about either you should or not pull some extra copies of him, and also the signature range as well. Let's start with Miyabi, of course. I'm not going to dive too deep into the kit explanation, all the details about the character, because I already made guides for both Harumasa and Miyabi. I'm going to link them in the top right corner and the description as well. So in case you are looking to understand all of their kit, highly recommend checking it out. But anyway, let's focus on this video. So Miyabi is an Frost anomaly unit, and Frost is not exactly a new attribute to the game. It's just ice with a new skin, right? It's a subtype of ice. There is some interactions, but we're not going to dive too deep here, especially for new players. It is anomaly related mechanics. But the thing about Miyabi is that she's truly a unique DPS. There's simply no other word for you to use here. Anomaly units usually don't scale with anything besides anomaly and attack. It means that they are not going to scale with crit stats, and crit stats is exactly what Miyabi looks for. And this is something that you usually see on attacker units, but Miyabi is an anomaly unit, and this means you don't have any option when it comes to weapons for her, besides the signature weapon. There's a huge gap between the DPS you can reach using her signature weapon and the DPS you're going to reach if you don't get her signature weapon. It's like a really huge gap. We're talking about more than 25% less damage if you don't get her signature weapon. So I know it sounds scary, I know it sounds super expensive, but trust me, it's definitely worth it. Because the amount of damage Miyabi can deal in pretty much any scenario is huge. She has huge AoEs, somewhat a little bit of crowd control as well, thanks to the freeze you can apply to the enemies. Not to mention all the flexibility when it comes to playstyle as well. This is something that makes her way better than Ellen, because Ellen is somewhat always fixed. She's going to be a sustained DPS. You want her to stay on the field as much as you can. Not to mention all the additional ability requirements that are not flexible as Miyabi. Ellen requires either a faction member or an ice member on your team. Quite hard for you to activate her additional ability, and you're going to lose some extra damage if you end up not activating any additional ability in the game. But for Miyabi, well, Miyabi is super flexible because she only requires either faction member, which once again, 3 SC rank units, but she can activate her additional ability using a support unit. And support units, we have a total of 3 A rank support units in the game, and pretty much all of them are super universal units. So it's really easy for you to activate Miyabi additional ability, all the flexibility on her gameplay as well. Not a great day for Ellen players, let's face the fact. I'm not going to sugarcoat this one. Miyabi is a really huge powerhouse, a juggernaut that can completely destroy Ellen when it comes to dealing damage to enemies. If you have the chance, if you have enough pulls, then I highly recommend you to get Miyabi because she's super future-proof, not to mention all the damage. For example, on the 1.5, we're going to get a new Ether support unit, the very first limited support unit in the game. And Miyabi can synergize with this unit without a single problem. It is not going to be the same thing for Ellen, for example. You still need a nice unit or a faction member in order to benefit from her additional ability. So if you have the pulse, if you think you can reach the PD on both her weapon and Miyabi, of course, then I highly recommend you to get Mindscape Zero with her signature. That's all you're going to need for your account for a very long time. You're going to be safe when it comes to dealing ice damage. If you are already on Ellen, then I would say it's a little bit of a personal preference, because I don't think you're going to need Miyabi to clear content in the game. Ellen can probably hold herself a little more, so I would say that it's just personal preference. Look up for some gameplay, do her trial, see if the gameplay is appealing to you. So unless you really don't like Miyabi gameplay, I don't see any reason for you to skip her. That's pretty much what I'm doing, and that's what I highly recommend pretty much anyone do as well. Next up, let's talk about Harumasa, because even though he's given for free for everyone, there are some reasons for you to pull him. Brief overview, once again, he's an electric attacker unit. When it comes to electric DPS, we have plenty of options of DPS. We even have an electric attacker A rank available in the game. But let's be honest, Anton is somewhat clunky when it comes to gameplay. So I don't recommend you investing that much into Anton, especially because Harumasa is going to be given for free. So not a single reason for you to go for Anton over Harumasa when it comes to dealing damage. But, well, if he's going to be given for free, why exactly should you pull some extra copies? Well, that's mostly because of KOL features and ease of gameplay. Because, just to quote a little bit of my Harumasa guide here, his rotation, it can be somewhat complex if you're trying to squeeze every tiny bit of damage at his Mindscape Zero gameplay. But once you add Mindscape 1, well, the rotation starts to smooth out quite a lot. I would say that Mindscape 1 quality of life is actually so huge that it's even better than his signature weapon. It's not like Miyabi. If you can't pull his signature weapon, because he's an attacker unit, he get access to a lot of different weapons that can offer crit stats for him without a problem. His signature weapon is going to offer you a lot of stats that he can easily use without a problem, but I don't think it's a huge priority for you to get his signature weapon. Mindscape 1 can be a higher priority in case you find his gameplay too complex. But of course, in the version 1.5, we are also going to get a new fire attacker unit. We do have another fire attacker in the game, by the way, it's Soldier 11, a standard S-rank unit. So, since Harumasa is already given for free, it's a Mindscape Zero. It is a bit complex for you to play, but in case you rather save for a fire DPS unit because you don't own a fire DPS unit, then well, both Harumasa and his signature weapon can be easily skipped for you. Not to mention, we're probably going to get reruns on the 1.5. And with reruns, we can expect to see Ju-Yuan and Ellen. Ellen, we already talked a little bit about. No reason for you to pull Ellen if you are a new player, unless you really like the character. For me, waifu is always over meta, so if you really like Ellen, then go for it over Miyabi. No reason for you to not pull Ellen in this scenario. But about Ju-Yuan, well, Ju-Yuan and Harumasa are kind of the same unit. I know it's kind of bold, it's kind of hard to dig this one, but listen to me, they are both units that somewhat deals a lot of damage on the stun window. They kind of fit really well with the burst DPS playstyle, but there's a huge difference. Ju-Yuan is easy to play, Harumasa is not. Harumasa is kind of a really complex character, and not everyone's going to dig this. As you can see here, I own Ju-Yuan at Mindscape 1, but I find her gameplay really boring. I don't like playing Ju-Yuan. On the other hand, I really like the whole complexity around Harumasa's gameplay. So for me, personally, I rather play Harumasa than skip playing Ju-Yuan, even though my Ju-Yuan is Mindscape 1. But this is personal preference, right? And you need to understand this and you need to evaluate your pool in what you like to play, because Harumasa Mindscape Zero is overly complex if you want to get the maximum amount of damage. It's really complex. But Ju-Yuan, it's always simple. It's simply, all you need to do is hold down your basic attack button. Peak Ju-Yuan gameplay is actually not playing her. You simply play a stun unit, and once the enemy is stunned, you swap to G1, spend all your bullets, and there you go. That's how G1 gameplay actually works. So if you want an easier character, I would say that G1 is somewhat better for you than Harumasa. But if you like Harumasa's kit, if you like his gameplay, give it a shot, use him a little bit, either on the trial mode, go into the VR, everyone is going to get access to him. So play a little bit, see if you like him. Then if you like him, then I would say that Mindscape 1 is a huge quality of life upgrade over his signature weapon. To make it simple, pull for Miyabi, huge value for your account on Miyabi, no reason for you to skip her. Unless you really don't like the character, unless you are looking forward for another character, then yeah, Miyabi is going to be a skip, but I wouldn't recommend doing so. You have plenty of time to get her and her signature weapon as well, so highly recommend pretty much anyone to try your luck and get Miyabi. As for Harumasa, only if you like his gameplay, go for Mindscape 1 for some quality of life. It's way better than going for his signature engine. There's plenty of other options. If you want an easy gameplay, then completely forget about Harumasa. Wait for reruns that we're probably going to get on the 1.5 and try to get G1, because G1 is basically the same idea as Harumasa, but with an easier gameplay. Yeah, that's it. For returning players and free-to-play players, it can always be a tough call when it comes to deciding if you're going to spend your pools or not. So I really hope this video could help you. Remember to join the Discord server if you want to chat a little bit. Let me know in the comments down below which units you're pulling, if you're saving your pools for 1.5, or if you're definitely going for Miyabi. So as always, thanks for watching, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my next video.